So I want to ask you a question to see if you've noticed something occurring, to see if it is actually a thing that really exists or a figment of my imagination.
Yeah.
And I'd like to title this video "The Rise of the Digital Tour," because I've been chatting to lots of bands, and as we know, there's this problem in that it just costs so much money to get in the band and tour and get the gigs in the first place.
Yeah.
So is that something that's cropping up with the musicians you're speaking to?
It is, and with promoters, because it's just so hard to keep venues open. I don't know the technical ins and outs, but they've got certain tax laws when it comes to like certain venues.
Yes, noise restrictions as well cause a lot of problems.
And just general rent, for a venue. So, whereas it used to be 10 years ago, £3 to go and see a band, it might be 6 now or 7. So it's harder to get bands to travel for £300. We have the same thing with the management company where look at petrol prices in this country, very, very expensive.
Yes.
So it's just an expensive thing to do.
So we've got two choices here. We either moan about it, it's not as good as the old days, or we do something slightly different. And I think me and you both favour the doing things slightly different approach, really. So I was chatting to a young band, and their problem was they couldn't get any gigs because they're all under 18.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you've just got to tour digitally. And once I kind of said it, I thought, well, there's so many bands doing this, and no one's actually thinking of it in those terms, but that's effectively what we're doing. We're kind of having to solve the problem by reaching an audience just by doing virtual gigs in effect. So I wondered if we could have a brainstorm and see about how many different ways we could approach that creatively.
And what's really interesting about this is having talked about this in the past, I know it's something that's quite exciting because I had loads of stick on a video I did. So I did this video about going and doing not so much a tour, but just performing live. And everyone was like, oh, it's really difficult because actually you've got to try and, it's different live, the actual the logistics of recording a live band is not realistic, etc. There's more costs. And I was thinking, we're definitely on something here, because whenever people complain about something that much, the fear means...
Well, also, yes, and if something's difficult, it means that most people won't do it, so therefore there's an opportunity.
Absolutely right.
So, boxes being ticked here. I sent this young band a video, the Foo Fighters, who did a tour of people's garages and kitchens and whatnot. Yeah. And the thing, that was a few years ago, but the thing that worked there was the novelty factor. And I mentioned to this band, the band were called Basis, they're fantastic actually. And because they were great, if you just put their great music and great performance in a great space, and also an unusual space, people are going to be interested. And we don't have to worry about licensing laws and over 18s and all that kind of stuff, So it remains to be seen if Basis kind of take me up on this idea. But I think it's something that's there for everybody.
Do you know what's so clever about this though is now we're into this idea of traditions versus rules that I was talking about, where all of a sudden we've been brought up to see certain traditions. But imagine this, like just brainstorming, taking it a whole step further. Imagine if you did a digital tour and you still did your tour of Manchester, you still did your tour of Birmingham, you still did your tour, except you're only putting out the advert or whichever way of digital, finding a way of only putting it out in that city.
Right.
How cool would that be? You could find a way where the people in Manchester still get those, so you could still say hello Manchester even if you're doing a tour where you're playing from a venue or somewhere in Brighton. If
you can get a great band with great songs in a great space that's unusual or already interested, there's a career opportunity here, I think, for tour managers, because the first tour manager that takes social media seriously and broadcast and brings that to a tour can effectively double, triple, quadruple the audience you reach on a tour.
Yeah.
So, and I don't see tour managers doing that yet, and I'm sure that it will happen. You have to bring up your mobile Wi-Fi, as we found when we went on the road. Yeah. That's a real pain. But let's think about the technical side for a minute. If we wanted to do this small scale, like today, and we wanted to do this tomorrow, and say we did the Foo Fighters thing of setting up in the garage, what are the technical issues that we might look at?
So we definitely have certain type of recording issues. But if you look at nowadays, back in the day when you recorded your first album and you had to go to a massive studio and every microphone was worth $5,000. Whereas nowadays you can go and buy a set of drum mics for £70, like for a full set of drum mics. So yes, there would be some costs in it, but imagine if this would be a long-term touring.
Yeah, and I think garage can be good because you're developing the story of the band. I've seen some amazing performances on phones.
And something that you always say as well is you're developing your overall skill set, which helps in life as
Yes.
such. So
Yeah.
in order to learn about this idea of social media, but also to learn about sort of live sound engineering, is going to stand you in good stead for stuff in the future.
Yes, so I think we record as good as you can with the limitations that you've got, pulling in favours. And if it's a phone video and it's garagey and that suits the style of the music, if it's a punky band and it's got vibe, the songs will still get across. So it still could work in the most primitive of conditions. If the songs are good and the band's great, that will get across. How do you feel about like Facebook Live being a sort of a platform to use, because it then sits there afterwards?
I think it's perfect. I think Facebook Live, Instagram Live, even, you know, when you get to a bigger audience, YouTube Live, but, you know, when you've got these kind of platforms which are crying out for this, I mean, it's called Facebook Live, you know, Instagram Live. It's absolutely perfect. I think the thing that will stop people is exactly what you said. It's hard. It's going to take a lot of research and a lot of work and a lot of practice. But, you know, I think it's the same thing when you look back through history. If you look at the YouTube pioneers who've just raised the bar to a massive level.
Is it any different to the Sex Pistols playing on a barge in front of the Houses of Parliament? You know, it's or KLF, you know, what Bill Drummond did by burning £1 million. It's just artists doing interesting things, and that's what the artist's job is, you know. And think about the potential of playing. I like your idea of playing in one town and touring it. You could play in the library and get booted out for making a noise. You know, you turn up with guitars, and I think anything that goes a bit wrong, it's probably going to add to the story.
Especially if it's live.
Yeah, library, tattoo shop, on a boat, on a barge, you know, on the back of a truck. You know, I'm not saying that you should take any risks with your health and safety, of course. You know, but it's all these things have been done, AC/DC on the back of the truck, you know. So we're just taking it, in essence, the spirit of rock and roll from the 70s and just updating it.
Yeah, the logistics are, if you can make a live show,
yes,
with live sound, you're effectively just recording that, just the same as you would anywhere else. So effectively, for anyone watching who's effectively coming at this negatively, just saying it's not realistic, in which case, why not find some kind of studio space and actually do a gig from the studio space where they've got all the stuff set up?
Do you know, I've actually done that for a radio show. They wanted us to do a live session, so we did a live broadcast from a recording studio.
Right.
And in that case, you know, it cost about £300. We set it up as a good studio. It sounded great. So we filmed it at the same time. So if you're worried about, you know, hi-fi production values, you can pull that off for not too much money.
Yeah. I mean, studios now, you can hire a studio for £150 for the day, get the whole thing done, do an entire gig. It'd be amazing.
So I think the limitation here is just your creativity. So let's see what you think, because obviously it's brainstorming, it's kind of new ideas, there's no right or wrong. Every opinion is just as valid as anyone else's. So let us know what you think and give us some good ideas.